Hello everyone, trust we're all fine and doing well today. Our tutorial today will be on how to make a cape for an overlapping double breast off shoulder blouse. Basically it's to show you how to get a cape for any outfit you want to do. I'll make it so simplified that beginners can also do this and explain the sewing process for everyone to understand. But before I get into the illustration, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please support me by hitting the red subscribe button somewhere down below. Put on your notification bell icon, that way you get notified whenever I upload new videos. Alright, so on my table, this is the main pattern, but this is on a small scale, A4 paper. For step one is to produce all your pattern, the pattern for the front borders, the back borders, and the sleeve. Step two now, I'll put aside all this pattern and work on my front pattern. When you do your front pattern, you have your chest line, your bust line, your under bust, and your waistline, WL. This is a dress we are making. Can you see how beautiful this dress is? So the first thing you need to do now is on the top part here, this front part. The first thing is for you to determine your off shoulder level. Do you want it to be on the chest line, or where do you want your off shoulder to be? It's more or less the concept of your off shoulder making. So we're going to do the off shoulder process of this dress where you want it to be. For me, I'll first of all go ahead and take 3 cm from the chest line. I'll measure 3 cm upward like this. So from my chest line, I'm going to get 3 cm this way, 3 cm. I'll place my tape from the chest line and measure 3 cm like this. So this is 3 cm, and that is the breaking line for the off shoulder setup. Step 2 now is measure your armhole circumference. Get your tape. Start from the top here, go through your armhole, start from the top like this. Please look at what I'm doing carefully and go through and measure all your armhole circumference like this, like this, like this, like this. So I've measured my armhole circumference. I'll divide it by 2 and I'll mark the midpoint here. After marking the midpoint here, just go up slightly, like 1 inch or half inch. Just go up a little bit. That would be like the level point where the shoulder will sit. Look at this lady here. This level point where the shoulder will sit. I've gotten the half of the armhole, then I just went up slightly because I don't want it to be too dropping. So you can do halfway, but just measure half inch or 1 inch. When you get that mark here, the next thing you do now is to connect this mark to this 3 inch together and make a curve like this. So that's the curve for the off shoulder level. It's like a sweetheart curve. So I did it like a full bodice pattern. So the same 3 inches, that's the breaking point here. I've measured the midpoint here and I'll go up slightly here. And I'll also connect this one too. So this is our first step. We have our sweetheart off shoulder neckline. That's my own terminology I'm using now. This cape, this is the breaking point. This is it now. The next thing we need to do now is what we call working on our borders, like tightening up our under bust and also our over bust. When I say tightening up your under bust, means coming to the bust, under bust. This is your normal dart leg, your normal dart you have drawn for your dress. But you need to come down and tighten up what we call, the under bust, and also the over bust. So that this dress will not be too loosey. When you cut it out like this, it will be too open. You need to shrink them so that they can be very fitted and hold the body very well. So we need to tighten up what we call the under bust and the over bust. So first of all, we'll tighten up our under bust somewhere along the under bust area after your bust point. You always take like 3 inch after your bust point or 3.5 inch, depending on how busty you are. From the underbody, you know, I'll draw my normal dart. So from this outer dart line, I'll measure 1 cm. What I will now do after measuring the 1 cm now, because we want to tighten our under bust, is to take this 1 cm location, this mark here, 1 cm. I'll connect it to the dart leg like this in a straight line. That's what I'm doing now. You do it to a dart leg like this, and then to the bust point, you will just make it like this. Now, in so doing, we have tightened up our under bust. I'm going to use a color pen to make it very obvious. This is our center front, please don't forget. So the same thing I did here, I'll repeat at the other side of the pattern. Just do this way. This is what we call tightening of the under bust, like this and like this. We also have to tighten up our over bust so that this dress can be very, very, very firm. You want it to be firm like this on the body, because if you cut it like this now without tightening the over bust, trust me, it will be loosed. So you need to tighten up this by tighten up what we call the over bust. The over bust is around this chest area line here. It's called the over bust. So what we're going to do now is, to do this now, you have to measure your shoulder seam. Let's say your shoulder seam is 5 or 4. Measure your shoulder seam, divide it into 2, get the midpoint. I'll put a double line, get the midpoint. When you get the midpoint of that line, connect it straight up to the bust point like this. So you go ahead now and measure out. Move forward so that you'll not be too tight. Move forward like 1 inch, like 1 inch or 1 cm. You move forward upward. You move slightly upward. You now measure on this curve line here. You measure 1 cm, 1 cm here, and you connect it with the dart line back to the bust point line. You know, I moved a little bit to ease the bust line there, so I'll connect it like this. This is not perfectly straight because it is on a paper. This under bust, this over bust here, we'll fold it like a dart. We'll fold it like this. We'll fold it in the process. We'll take it out or fold it. We'll fold it like this so that this place will be reduced now. Are you seeing me? We'll cover it, like we'll close it up so that it will shrink the dart, the chest line. Also on the armhole level, we have to come up 1/2 inch because this is like an offshoot. I don't want it to be too floppy at the armhole, like too open. So you go up like 1/2 inch or 1 inch and reconnect it back, redraw the dart again, redraw the armhole curve line back again. In so doing, you have adjusted the under bust, over bust, and the armhole for the off shoulder. So you have your new armhole line like this. You need to shorten it up. You need to shorten the length so that it's not be too wide at that point too. So you've gone up by 1 inch or 1/2 inch. Anyone is fine. So the next thing we need to do now is to repeat the same process at the other side of this. So we have done everything that we need now. So we'll fold it back together like this. So this is now what we have to do for our front pattern. You can call this place F1 and you can call this place F2. So you have 2 panels, F1 and F2. Is that all right? So on the open scale now, you have the same thing here, the same thing here. So that's what we have now. The next thing we need to do is to also get the back borders and also make some adjustment to it. And I'll take this aside and work on the back borders. Okay, so we're going to be working on the back borders pattern. So we're going to do the same thing on the back borders pattern. We'll go around the armhole as I explained before. We'll just measure the armhole from the top here. We'll go around like this, and like this. So we'll get the midpoint, and then I'll go slightly up like by 1 inch or 1/2 inch. The next thing I need to do now is to know what the back after I've gotten the mark at the armhole, I need to know where this back will be. So I could just go draw a straight line like this from this level, or just measure like 8 cm like this. Measure 8 cm here and then connect this one like this to it. Are you getting me? So this is the off shoulder for the back. Are you getting that? So that's the off shoulder for the back. So the dart is here. We can extend this dart upward to hit that line. Step 2 for the back borders is for you to extend this dart line, the bust to nipple dart line location. You extend it upward like this because you just want to tighten up you could do the back in 2 panels, or you can just sew the dart on it. So you can also now just at this point measure out 1 cm, 1 cm, and then you hit the line like this to the final line. You hit it like this. We get to the final waistline. So you call this one B1, B2. If you want to sew them as 2 panels, but if you want to sew a dart on it, you just come down like 1 inch and draw your dart leg again back. Are you getting me? You can just redraw your dart leg again back like this, and this is it. So this is the back borders now. These are front borders, right? Now we need to show our sleeve. So I've made my sleeve. So what we're going to do now is cut out all this pattern out individually and then set up for the next step. So let's do the cutting together. Like cut them out, like open them up and cut them out. I'm going to cut out the sleeve. Please, this is on a small scale. I made myself clear that I was doing this on a small scale. This is our back pattern. This is our sleeve. This is our front pattern. So we need to cut our front pattern too. So this is the front pattern. So I'm going to head to cut on my pattern. This is my front. This is my sleeve. This is my back. So remember, I have to tighten up this back too by moving in here 1 inch and reconnecting it back to the back position. And also I have to raise it up as I raised the other one by 1 inch too. So we'll retighten up this one too and shorten it here by 1 inch because it's a sleeveless 1 cm. We'll shorten it up the same way I shorten up this one too by 1 cm. So the next thing to do is to create our cape by bringing together all the 3 patterns, and then we'll start working out from the front pattern. So I'll start matching the armhole from that location there where they are both meeting, from the pattern and the sleeve. I'll put them together and start working my way through the whole borders to where I get to the off shoulder location on the pattern. I'll mark that location on the sleeve, and I will repeat the same process for the back too, just the same way. Turn the back side and also do that. Then I'll now move to the next step of arranging the top notch of the sleeve together with the position of that mark on the front armhole, and also bring the back together and match it properly, like the top is meeting up the sleeve top, and then I'll put the back too, so that the same way I arrange the front, I will set the back to that same direction, that they will both meet at the top of the sleeve, and I will have it like this. So I'm gonna head to set up everything like this. This is how you're gonna do it. Just follow the same process I've explained, and as you can see, I'm gonna use a tape to hold it there at the top there. That's the top of the sleeve where both of them are intersecting together. In so doing, I'll work my way and show you the armhole curve that has been captured. So the armhole curve has been captured into the sleeve. Now if you don't have to make a long sleeve like this, you can make it a short length, because what we just need is a short sleeve to be attached to the cape. So this is now the position of the cape. You can see the picture where the sleeve length is measured, so you don't have to make a long sleeve. Now for you to determine how many inch from the shoulder bone to that cape position, the starting point of the cape where my pencil is touching, so I'll say 3 inches okay. You can take 2.5 inch, but 3 inch is very okay. So from the top of that sleeve there, you measure that 3 inch there and make a mark. That is now the off shoulder point for the sleeve, where that bone will start, where the cape will start from. So you now connect the 3 points together, like all of them together in a curved manner. In connecting both points from the off shoulder level, this is what it looks like, connecting to that 3 inch location on the cape beginning point. And after doing this, now it's for you to now move now to find out what next, where would the overlap take place in the dress. Now you can see the picture I have there. I want to determine the overlap point. It will be somewhere under the bust. I want my own to break. You could make your own overlap to break at your bust point, but this picture is somewhere under the bust. So now this is the cape flow pattern, and the breaking point to be somewhere under my under bust. That is where I want my bust cape to lap on. That is the double breast side cape, so it's going to lap on the under bust, and that is the curve line I've traced out to that point, the breast location, on the breast part location. So this is what we call the overlap cape. So it's going to break at that side on both sides of the cape. So the next thing we need to do now is to find out the height, the width of the cape. How wide do you want it to be? Standardly for the dress I made, I took 4.5 inch. That is ½ inch for sewing and 4 inch for the cape height. So I will go ahead and use my wheel now to trace out this. This is a tracing point just to show you how the cape is being formed. That is where the cape, I'm going to trace out my cape like this on a fresh paper. I'll trace it out like this down to the breaking point. So here's the look of the cape with the shaded area there where my pencil is pointing, is trying to reduce the back buckling by taking ½ inch on the waist. That way though will reduce the sway back. And then the other shaded area along the cape line down to the breaking point is my cape, and the width of the cape is 4 inch. Along the breaking point there, you have to reduce the cape to like around 1 inch, 1.5 inch, and then produce all the new cape look by as shown in the shaded area. So with this now, this is the end of it. I've produced the cape on a different paper, and I'll have to mark all notch location. That means I'll have to mark the notch for the center front position. Also the shoulder point, I have to mark those 2 notches, make those 2 points as a notch point, and also the center back, and then the breaking point. Remember the breaking point, I reduced this. So this is the cape, and I'll close all the dots. Now when closing up all the dots, it will shorten the cape length and make it very firm. Please remember to close the dots, if not, so the dress will be very loose on the chest line. So close all the over bust dots and also the back dots. Close it properly and then fix back your cape. You see the excess will be taken off from the cape, and then that's the cape that is required to make this particular dress. And the breaking point location, just try and reduce the cape. It can't be the same 4-inch width that we have taken all through. And at the shoulder location too, you can decide to make it longer there by taking 5-inch. Yeah, it's okay. You can twist it anyhow you like at the center back. You can make it straight, you can make it curved, but that's just it. And this is the cape you need now, with all notches being marked and cover up the over bust and the dart. So this is the final look effect with the cape on this pattern. And the capes are the shaded area, both in red area, that's the sleeve, and also the green area. They're both lapping at the under bust, you can see. The sleeve there can be 5-inch down to make it more curvy. Please note I've cut off the over bust dart, and everything there is just held by sellotape, and they're all in panels to be sewn together, and then you attach the cape to the sewing along the under bust area. But that's it finally. So here's the final look of the dress. You can see I didn't put a lining on it because it's a medium weight fabrics. That's the cape there, overlapping at the under bust. That's the effect of the cape. You can see the cape. And remember, the armhole of the cape looks very good. The armhole was being sewn with a bias binding to finish up the raw edge, and also at the zip too. I actually did the same thing to finish up the raw edge at the zip area there. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Please see you next in my next video, and thank you so much for watching. Like my video, comment and share.